My 17-year-old daughter was banned from my sister's wedding for being too young. I didn't argue. I simply said, "We won't be attending." But when Christmas came, I made one quiet change and the entire family lost it. My name is Claire, and I'm the oldest of three sisters. Growing up, that meant I was the responsible one, the helper, the babysitter, the person who handled things when our parents were too tired or too distracted. I never really minded. Not at first anyway. That was just how it was. Tessa was the middle child, the performer, the attention magnet. Rachel, the youngest, was the baby she could get away with anything. I was the one left cleaning up after everyone else. When I got older and became a mom myself, things shifted a little, but not much. I adopted my daughter Maya when she was 3 years old. She had these big, thoughtful eyes and a quiet way of watching the world, like she wasn't sure she could trust it yet. I still remember the first time she called me Mom. I cried in the car after dropping her off at preschool. From the very beginning, I made her a promise she would never feel unwanted in my family. Not ever again. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't keep that promise. Tessa got engaged last spring. Big announcement, big ring, big Instagram caption. Of course I congratulated her. Maya even made her a card. She cut out little wedding bells and glued them on with way too much glitter. Tessa said it was sweet, then left it in the back seat of her car. I found it 2 weeks later, half crumpled under a Starbucks cup. Still, Maya was excited about the wedding. She started browsing dresses online and asking whether she should wear her hair up or down. I could tell she was nervous but hopeful. She wanted to belong. Then the invitation arrived in the mail. One of those fancy ones, thick paper gold trim, the kind that probably cost more than my monthly water bill. I opened it at the kitchen counter while Maya worked on her homework at the table. The usual details: location, dress code, RSVP link. And then I saw it. Adults only. 18 and over. Strictly enforced. No children. I read it twice, thinking I must have missed something. But I hadn't. Maya saw my expression before I could hide it. She looked up from her notebook and asked quietly, "She doesn't want me there, does she?" I said. "It's an 18-plus wedding." She was silent for a moment, then asked, "Is it because I'm adopted?" That single sentence broke something inside me. She said it so calmly, as if it were just another fact she'd learned to live with. I told her, "No, of course not." But I knew what she meant. It wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Not exactly this, but other small cutting moments. My mom once introduced Maya as Claire's girl, never our granddaughter. Tessa always called her your daughter, like she was talking about a neighbor's kid. There were holidays when Maya offered to help in the kitchen and no one even acknowledged her. I tried to tell myself it wasn't intentional, that they didn't mean anything by it. But this time, it was clear. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just went online. Clicked. Not attending, and that was it. No explanation, just no. I thought that would be the end of it. The next day, Tessa texted me, "Hey, just saw your RSVP. Is everything okay?" Then another message followed. "If this is about the age thing, I hope you understand. We're being super consistent with everyone. Nothing personal, right?" Nothing personal, except that Maya is her niece, and she's 17, not 7. I didn't reply. Then Rachel messaged me. "Tessa said you're not coming. What's going on?" And right after that, my mom called. She never calls just to chat, so I picked up, already bracing myself. "Claire," she said, "I heard you're not going to the wedding. Is this really about the age limit?" I said, "Maya's not invited. I'm not going without her. She's almost 18. My mom sighed. "It's not like she's a little kid. She's family. Don't punish your sister over this, it's one night." I didn't argue, I just said, "We're not going," and hung up. That should have been the end of it. But then came the group chat messages, the guilt trips, the passive-aggressive comments that weren't even subtle. Rachel wrote, "Can't believe you're making such a big deal over one rule. You always have to cause drama. Maya's not the only one not coming. This isn't about her. You're making it about her. Then Mom sent a long message about family unity and forgiveness, about how we've all made sacrifices, and how hard it is being in the middle. I didn't respond. Maya deleted all the dress photos from her phone. She stopped talking about the wedding. She didn't cry, but that was the part that broke me. How unsurprised she was. She'd already learned what I had spent years trying to deny. So when Christmas came and no one had apologized or even mentioned it, I made a quiet decision. I didn't invite them. No big announcement, no confrontation, just silence. And that's what finally made them furious. If you'd asked me 10 years ago what I thought motherhood would look like, I would have said birthday parties, messy hugs, and glitter on the carpet. I wouldn't have said trying to protect a child from people who claim to love you both. When Maya came into my life, she was 3 years old, heartbreakingly serious. Big brown eyes, soft curls, and a quiet stare that made you feel like she was memorizing every word you said, just in case she needed it to survive you. She didn't warm up easily. She didn't giggle on cue. She didn't run into my arms like in a movie. But the day she reached for my hand in the grocery store, unprompted, just quietly slipped her little fingers into mine, I cried in the parking lot for 10 minutes. My husband Ethan said that was the moment she chose you, and I've been choosing her every day since. My family never really knew what to do with her. At first I told myself it was just awkwardness and adjustment period. She didn't have my eyes. She didn't share my last name yet. She wasn't loud or quick to join in during family gatherings the way the other kids were. But it wasn't just that. It was the way my mom referred to her as the little one instead of using her name. The time Tessa asked, "Are you going to tell her she's adopted when she's older?" while Maya was standing right there. The Easter when Rachel's kids got baskets from our parents with their names written in glitter while Maya's just said, "Happy Spring." It wasn't overt cruelty. It was quieter than that, subtle, soft enough to excuse if you wanted to. But Maya noticed. She always noticed. I tried to be patient. I really did. I explained, I redirected, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. When Maya was 6, she told my dad she wanted to be an artist. He smiled and said, "You'll need something more practical than that." When she was 8, she drew a picture of our family, me, Ethan, and her, and gave it to my mom. My mom smiled, said thank you, then set it down and never mentioned it again. Later, Maya asked why her drawing wasn't on the fridge like her cousins were. I didn't know what to tell her. The first time I truly lost my patience was at Rachel's engagement party. Maya was 12. Rachel had sort of invited us a group text with the time, date, and location. No, can't wait to see you. No personal note. But we went anyway because I thought this is how we change it. We keep showing up. Maya wore a pale blue dress and little silver flats she'd picked out herself. She was nervous, kept asking if she looked okay, if she could stay close to me. At the party, Rachel greeted us with a tight smile and a quick, "Hi," then immediately turned to hug the next person, completely skipping over Maya. No compliment. No, "You've grown so much." Nothing. Just air. We stayed for 20 minutes, maybe 25. Maya never left my side the entire time. On the way home, she said, "I don't think she likes me." I answered, "She doesn't know you." She looked out the window and said quietly, "She's had 10 years. And I didn't have an answer for that. The truth is, I don't think they ever really accepted that Maya wasn't temporary. It's like some part of them always believed I'd eventually have a real child, and that this would just become a sweet story to tell someday. Remember when Claire fostered that little girl? They never said it out loud. They didn't need to. Last year, for Maya's 16th birthday, we rented a small room at the community center and decorated it with her artwork. It was her idea. She didn't want a big party with loud music. She wanted to hang her paintings, serve cupcakes, and invite the people who had supported her. She made the invitations herself, carefully addressing each one to family, friends, and a few teachers. Rachel didn't come. Neither did Tessa. My parents showed up half an hour late carrying a card that said, "To a sweet girl," with a $20 bill tucked inside. Maya thanked them as always, polite, gracious. Afterward, she didn't say much. She just helped clean up quietly, packing her canvases into the car. Later that night, after the dishes were done, I found one of her sketches on the counter. It was a drawing of the three of us, her, me, and Ethan at the party, but our faces were blank. I think that's when I stopped hoping they'd change. Not because of the card or their late arrival or the lack of effort, but because it didn't seem to hurt Maya anymore. Not in the same way. She had stopped being surprised. And that scared me more than anything. So when the wedding invitation came, no phone call, no conversation, just a silent exclusion. I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't argue. I didn't beg for an exception. I simply told Maya we weren't going. She didn't cry. She just nodded and said, "Okay." Later that night, she asked, "Do you think they even noticed we weren't there?" I said yes, because I needed her to believe she mattered even if they didn't. We spent the weekend of the wedding at home. Ethan made French toast. Maya painted in the sunroom. I read a book from cover to cover. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't a protest. It was peace. And honestly, it felt strange at first, quiet in a way that made me realize just how much noise I'd been living with for years. I didn't miss the ceremony. I didn't wonder what the flowers looked like or how the cake tasted. I thought about Maya, about how she used to search for their approval in every comment, every holiday, every family dinner, and how little by little they taught her to stop expecting it. And then I thought about the next holiday. For years, I'd hosted Christmas out of obligation, inviting them, feeding them, pretending their half-hearted smiles were enough. This time, I wouldn't. This time, I'd do something different. Ethan asked me in early December, should I order the usual folding chairs? I shook my head. No extra seats this year. He didn't push. Maya didn't ask. And when the group chat started buzzing with, "Who's bringing dessert to Claire's this year?" and "Should we come the night before like always?" I said nothing. I just watched the messages pile up unread. I didn't announce that I wasn't hosting Christmas. I didn't make a speech or post a bold status or tell everyone to go find somewhere else to eat their ham and passive aggression. I just didn't say anything. And that silence, apparently, was the loudest thing I'd ever done. The group chat started buzzing around December 15th. Rachel. "Claire, are we still doing Christmas Eve dinner at your place? Let me know what I should bring." Tessa. "Of course, we'll be 5 again. Let me know if Maya wants anything specific this year. If she's even going to be there this time." That one almost got me. If she's even going to be there this time. Like Maya was the problem. Like her absence from their wedding was a personal failing of hers, not the result of being uninvited. I didn't reply. For the first time in years, I didn't clean the house top to bottom. I didn't pre-order a roast. I didn't dig out the extra folding chairs. I didn't drag the big table leaf out of the garage. And when no one got an answer, they started calling. First, it was my mom. I let it ring. Then Rachel. Then Tessa. Then my dad left a voicemail. "Claire, we just want to know what's going on. Your mother's upset. It's not too late to do the right thing." The right thing. As if hosting people who excluded my daughter was the right thing. As if feeding them would fix what they refused to acknowledge. We didn't host anyone that year. Instead, Ethan and I made lasagna in pajamas, while Maya baked sugar cookies in shapes that barely held together. We stayed and watched movies, opened our gifts early. We laughed more than we had in months. It felt normal in a way our holidays never had before. No one walked on eggshells. No one had to translate pointed comments. No one got quiet when Maya entered the room. It was just us. And that's when the messages started to change. December 26th. Tessa in the group chat. I just think it's sad. We've all tried to welcome Maya, but Claire has made it impossible to connect with her. Rachel. I mean, if you cut off family every time there's a disagreement, you'll end up with no one. Dad. The way you're handling this is cruel. I'm sorry, but it is. My mom sent me a photo of the Christmas tree at their house with the caption, "It wasn't the same without you. Maya would have loved her gifts." I didn't reply because they weren't gifts for Maya. They were gifts for their conscience. They were guilt-wrapped invitations to come back and pretend everything was fine, and I'd done that for too long. A few days later, we got a card in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Inside, my mother had written, "I wish you'd think about the example you're setting. Maya will see how easily you shut people out." That line stuck with me because I realized that's exactly what I want her to see. Not that love is disposable, but that real love doesn't ask you to shrink yourself. It doesn't ask you to sit quietly while the people around you pretend your pain is too uncomfortable to acknowledge. Maya didn't ask about the messages, but I know she saw the tension. She's never been one to ask directly. She just watches, absorbs, like she's still trying to figure out which parts of the world are safe. One night, she was curled up on the couch with a blanket over her legs, sketching something. She paused, then said, "If I wasn't adopted, do you think they'd like me more?" The question hit harder than any of the texts. I sat down beside her. "Sweetheart," I said, "they'd probably pretend better, but the way they treat people who aren't like them, that was never about you." She looked at me with those same serious eyes from the day I met her and said, "I don't think I want them to like me anymore." And that was the moment I stopped waiting for an apology. A few days later, my father called again. I let it ring. Then came a text. "Your mother's not sleeping. She feels like she's lost you. We know we messed up, but that doesn't justify shutting everyone out. That's not who you are." I stared at that line for a long time. That's not who you are. I used to wonder about that, used to question whether I was being too cold, too sensitive, too harsh. But now I think this is who I am. Someone who finally knows what she will and won't tolerate. Someone who understands that keeping peace at the expense of her child's dignity isn't noble, it's cowardice dressed up as tradition. The final straw came from Tessa. She sent a voice memo, one of those rambling ones where people try to sound calm, but every sentence has a knife tucked inside. "I just think it's sad, Claire. You always made such a big deal about how much you love Maya, but now it feels like you're using her as a shield. Like any time someone doesn't treat her like royalty, you cut them out. That's not healthy. That's not parenting. That's obsession." I didn't listen to the rest. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Because if loving Maya fiercely and completely is considered obsession in their world, then yes, I am obsessed. I'm wildly, unapologetically obsessed with protecting the person who needed me the most, and nothing they say will ever make me regret that. New Year's came and went quietly. Maya fell asleep before midnight with a half-eaten cookie still on the couch. Ethan and I toasted with tea instead of champagne and watched fireworks on mute. He looked at me and asked, "Do you miss them?" I thought about it for a moment. "No," I said. "I miss the idea of them, but that version never really existed." He nodded, didn't say anything more, just reached for my hand. I don't know what happens next. I'm sure they'll keep trying. People like that rarely fade quietly. There will be more texts, more posts, more attempts to rewrite the story. Maybe one of them will show up at Maya's graduation next year pretending nothing happened. But I've made my decision. There won't be a dramatic confrontation, no explosive scene, just quiet distance. And sometimes, that's the most powerful choice of all. It happened on a Thursday. Cold, overcast still. I had just gotten home from work, still in my coat, when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Ethan was working late. Maya was upstairs preparing her portfolio project for her college applications. I opened the door, and there they were, my parents. standing on my porch like it was still 2007, like nothing had ever gone wrong. My mom was holding a Tupperware container. Oatmeal cookies, I think her specialty. Soft in the middle, slightly burnt around the edges, the kind she used to make when I was little. "Claire," she said with a breathy little smile. "We thought we'd stop by." I didn't say anything at first. I just stared at the container in her hands, half expecting it to be booby-trapped. My dad shifted awkwardly beside her. "Can we come in?" "Just for a minute?" he asked. "No," I said. There was a pause. The air between us felt heavy. Surprised, maybe, I added, but not enough to matter. My mom tried to smooth it over her voice, turning soft and syrupy again. "We just wanted to talk. Things got heated, but we're still your family." She lifted the cookies slightly like she was offering a peace treaty. I didn't take them. That's when her smile began to crack. "You don't have to be like this," she said, her voice tightening. My dad stepped in, his tone measured but cold. "We know it's been hard raising a teenager, pushing everyone else away. We tried to be patient, we gave you space. But this," he gestured vaguely between us, "you're going to lose your real family over a girl who's going to leave in a few months." My stomach clenched. "She's 17, my mom said softly. "She'll go off to college soon. And then, you'll be alone. You'll regret this." And I could hear it, what she wasn't saying. This wasn't about reconciling. It was about control. And then my mother said it, the thing I think she'd always believed deep down. "I'm sorry, Claire," she said, her voice almost gentle. "But she's not blood. She's not really one of us." She said it like she was doing me a kindness, like she expected me to nod and say, "You're right. I lost my way." Instead, I took a deep breath, stepped back, and said, "You need to leave right now." My dad looked taken aback. "Claire, no," I said louder. "No. You don't get to come here with cookies and pity and act like this is kindness. You don't get to insult my daughter to my face and then wonder why I'm not inviting you in. You're going to regret this," my mom said again, her voice cracking now. "When she leaves you, when she forgets about you, you'll see. Our door will still be open. You'll come back. You'll realize we were right." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it until I couldn't hear their footsteps anymore. I told Maya the next day. I wasn't going to. I didn't want her to carry their poison, but I've never lied to her about anything important. She sat very still while I told her what they said about her leaving, about not being blood, about me crawling back one day. She didn't cry, but I could see it in her hands, how tightly she clenched them in her lap, how her shoulders stiffened. "They really think I'll leave you?" she said. "No," I said. "They hope you will. That way, I'll need them again." She nodded slowly. "They don't get to hope things about me?" she said. "I thought that would be the end of it." I should have known better, because a week later my cousin Sarah forwarded me an email that Rachel had sent to the extended family. It was long, rambling, passive-aggressive in the way only Rachel could be. But the point was clear. She told them I had abandoned the family for a girl who manipulated her way into Claire's life and isolated her from everyone else. She implied Maya had been difficult, distant, and ungrateful, that my relationship with her was unhealthy, that I was obsessed with protecting her from imaginary slights. It was vile. And worse, it worked. People started reaching out. Aunt Linda texted me asking if I was okay. Uncle John called Ethan asking if I was having a breakdown. My second cousin Chloe left a comment on one of Maya's art posts. "You're very lucky. Don't forget who gave you a home." Maya saw it. I saw her see it. And that was the last straw. I didn't write a response. I wrote a dossier, screenshots, messages, photos, every ignored invitation, every exclusion, every receipt. I wrote a letter, not emotional, not angry, just facts. I sent it to the extended family only once, with the subject line, "For those who wanted the full story." I didn't ask for sides. I didn't demand apologies. I just gave them the truth. Some replied, some didn't. A few quietly unfriended Rachel. A few didn't believe a word I said. It didn't matter because I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for Maya so she'd never question whether she imagined it. So she'd never ask again, "Do you think they'd like me if I was blood?" After that day, I blocked everyone who tried to argue. Everyone who said, "Maybe if you just talked it out." Everyone who believed that keeping peace was somehow more important than protecting a child from emotional abuse dressed up as family tradition. We never heard from them again. Not directly anyway. I'm sure they still talk about us. I'm sure I'm the story they tell at parties when someone mentions estranged relatives. I'm sure Maya's name still comes up in tight, judgmental tones. Let them talk. They lost the right to know her. Fast forward. Maya's in college now, an art program top of her class. She still calls me every night. Not out of obligation, just instinct. She sends photos of her sketches. Sometimes she asks what I think. Sometimes she just wants to say goodnight. When I dropped her off at her dorm, she hugged me for a full minute and whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." Maybe she meant it physically, but I knew what she really meant. People say you can't choose your family. I did. I chose her over blood, over guilt, over generations of silence. And if they still think I'll come crawling back someday, let them wait. Sometimes I still think about that moment on the porch. My mother holding out those cookies like they could erase years of neglect, like sugar could fix what they never had the courage to say out loud. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I overreacted, if I should have tried harder, stayed quieter, been more forgiving. But then I remember the look on Maya's face when I told her, "They don't get to treat you like that." I remember how tightly she hugged me before leaving for college. And I remember the promise I made her, the one no one ever made to me when I was growing up, that I would choose her. Every single time. Did I do the right thing? Maybe the better question is, how could I have done anything else?